being world famous. Today on Expert Showcase, it's the wrap, and we're talking visibility. Hey, Chris, welcome to the wrap. Expert Showcase, our wrap-up show of the week, and we're talking visibility, right?
Yeah, our wrap-up show of the week that was. Man, has this been a crazy week or what, Mark? I mean, you know.
Is there any other kind?
There's not. You know, it's been a great week between recording clients, recording Expert Showcase episodes. Man, you guys have a lot of great episodes to look forward to that we've got coming down the pipeline. You know, and speaking of visibility, it's kind of been, man, if you watch the news and everything else that's going on, it's like people are, I don't know what to say anymore about people getting visible for kind of interesting things. You know, it's and folks, you have to forgive us because this ends up being, we end up pre-recording these, so what we're saying now might not be completely relevant to the exact past week.
That's right. We can't actually do the news headlines without making this potentially get stuck in time somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. But it just, it always intrigues me, Mark, when we do these things with our clients, when we do these things with our, when we watch the news and everything, and this week specifically around visibility. The different ways to get visibility, the different things that make people visible that are different from, the way it used to be, so to speak. I mean, it used to be.
Yeah. I'll say, I mean, it's like everything's all over the place. I mean, can you imagine, back in a time where there were like three news stations on broadcast TV, and if you weren't on one of those, you didn't exist. But if you were, you had the entire audience. Now, wow, everything's fragmented all over the place, and you got these little micro channels and micro niches and micro audiences, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and the other interesting thing is that, when I grew up, and yes, I'm, I look like I'm only about 29 at this point. I get it. I love it. Thank you very much for what he says.
Humor him. He wants you to stop that anyway, yeah.
But I remember growing up, it was always, I was always told by my folks, hey, don't do anything, you wouldn't want on the front page of the New York Times. And even though I didn't grow up in New York, but the funny part was, if you think about it back then, you didn't, that concept didn't even make any sense because nobody, quote unquote, was on the front page of the New York Times. But now today, with visibility, with how visible everything is, you're making the front page of whether it's Facebook, Reddit, whether it's New York Times, whether it's Twitter, so to speak, retweets, all the other stuff. But almost any action you make can make the quote unquote front page of the internet. So guess what? If that's going to happen anyway, you should be able to be in control. You should be able to figure out how to best utilize it and how to capitalize on it and how to make yourself visible in the way you want. So I think in the end, Mark, I could talk forever on this and on all the fun stuff that we had.
Not you, Chris. You couldn't talk forever. I mean, it's like pulling teeth with you most of the time.
Exactly. But we have a great show for you today. So as usual, we're going to have Showcase Insights. We're going to have our top 3. We're going to have our video marketing mail, and then we're going to end up with a little bit of marketing inspiration. I think that's about it for our little opening segment.
Mark? I think so. We'll take a quick break, and we will be back with Showcase Insights. We're back with Showcase Insights, Chris. So this is where we kind of have our chat of learnings, things we have observed. We have the great privilege of working with some really cool clients, creating great content with them, and we always have really cool guests on Expert Showcase, except for today where we just have us. We have a great guest, Chris. Well, we're used to each other and ourselves, but so we create cool stuff. We get all kinds of weird observations and insights. So what do you want to hit today? What have you learned from the week that has been?
Yeah, exactly. Great points. So the 3 things that we're going to cover today in Showcase Insights are getting visibility for podcasters, authors, and public speakers. If you think about it, while those 3 groups might feel that they have a lot of great visibility right now, there's if they aren't already taking advantage of things like video, they're selling themselves short and they're not getting the amount of visibility that they could have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we've talked in previous episodes about visibility as a concept being about really kind of getting your content super far and super wide. So let's take podcasters, for example. What are they doing right? What could they be doing better? I mean, how does podcasting and creating content that way help with their visibility?
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, when it comes to podcasters, and I will also we'll say podcasters, people who have online talk shows, as far as like Blog Talk Radio and iHeartRadio, that sort of thing. You know, they're doing something extremely right. They're getting on a big platform and they're, you know, recording their sorry, have to check mission control every now and then, folks. You know,
he's multitasking. You know, he's got to do multiple things back there.
I was going to say, Mark didn't see bouncy bars, and you know, thought we were quiet. Thought
the audio had disappeared on us, huh?
Yeah, exactly. So let me just see. Yep, we're still okay. We're
still here, folks. We're here.
We're here. Yeah, we're still here. So as far as podcasters go, the thing they're doing right is they're getting out there. They're getting their message out via audio. A lot of people still love audio. They love to take it in their car. They love to put it on their MP3 player. They love to put it on their iPod. And yes, for those of you old enough, there is now another Sony Walkman. And you too, if you have $1,900 or it's either $1,000 or $1,900, you too can buy another Sony Walkman. I have no clue why you would want to pay $2,000. I love
nostalgia,
the Walkman.
Man. Nostalgia.
Well, it's a new digital version, and it's, you know, I mean, hey, I love the Sony Walkman just as much as anybody else, but I haven't figured out if they're gold plating this thing or not. But anyway, the whole point is they're getting their message out via audio, which is great. But what happens a lot is people get into podcasting because they don't want to be on camera and they just want to be behind the camera. They just want their, you know, they kind of have a quote unquote face for radio. As
face for radio, yeah, I was going to say.
As some people used to say. Well, guess what? Get over it. Get over yourself. And that might sound harsh, but here's the thing of it. If you're already podcasting, you're already creating great content, all you got to do, take a webcam, put it in front of you, and record what you're saying on the video and the audio. Do them both, do the dance, and then you have a second piece of great content that you can legitimately put out on YouTube. And before we get into authors, Mark, what I want to say about legitimately put on YouTube is we even know some people that I won't mention by name who, when they go to YouTube, what they will do is they will take an audio recording, they will put a slideshow in front of it. Okay.
Boring.
Well, and like I said, we know some very popular people who do that. And if you're watching very popular people, we love you anyway. That's why we're not mentioning your name, and we won't put it in the show notes. And no matter how much money you pay us, we won't tell you. But here's the thing of it: it would be much more effective if you had a camera in front of you and people could see you and interact with you like that. So, podcasters, what I want you to take away from this is get yourself a camera, start recording, and have that extra piece of content.
Yeah, the point is it gives you options, right? I mean, if you hate the video, you can always throw it away and still use the audio, which is what you were doing. But now you've got multiple pieces you can put out on different platforms. It's definitely good stuff. All right, Chris, so podcasters are doing it right. They could enhance it with video. What about authors? What are authors doing right? How could they enhance things and with what they're doing?
Yeah, and in the interest of time, I'm going to go ahead and keep this section really, really short. Authors, you have an incredible opportunity. What you want to do is get a video camera like this and sit down and create 2-minute summaries of every chapter of your book and then release them online. It's a great lead magnet, or a great way to generate leads. I did it myself for my book, The Secret Blueprint to More. My next book, which will be coming out later on this year, all talking about the 0 point, I'm going to do exactly the same thing. And what it does is it gives people a chance to experience not only what you wrote, but how you felt when you wrote it, which will get them to connect to you more. So the short version for authors is the easiest thing for you to do is get a camera, record a 1 to 2 minute summary of each chapter of your book, and then release it on YouTube and other outlets. Use it as a lead gen. Use it as a way to get more people exposed to your book.
Absolutely. You got all that great content. You did the hardest part already, which is creating the book, writing those chapters, to repackage it. You're absolutely right, Chris. Right on the money. Now let's talk speakers. This is one of my pet peeves, man. I mean, you know, you're a speaker, other people are speakers. It makes me cry when people don't have a camera somewhere in that room while they're speaking.
Yeah, and this one comes also from deep personal experience. Look, folks, I'm a public speaker. I'm gonna get real close to the camera. I'm a public speaker. If you haven't figured that one out yet, I love to be in front of as many people as I can. If you haven't figured that one out yet, so that's a little secret between just between us. But no, in all seriousness, here's the big secret. I never used a camera at the beginning. It's hilarious to think back to all. Yes, exactly. It's hilarious to think back to all the performances I did, all the stages I was on that I didn't use a camera. Thank goodness when I was on the stage with John Maxwell that they had video cameras rolling, and I still have those 3 and the 5-minute segments and everything. And they're on YouTube. Thank goodness I've got that. You know, if not, it's like, yeah, okay, good. But here's the thing: for public speakers, even if it's even if you start off with your laptop and a webcam and an HD webcam like this, and even if the video quality looks horrible at the beginning, get it and get used to it so that as you ramp up and as you get a handheld camera, as you get things that are more sophisticated, as you want to start hiring video production crews, as you want to start doing it, you at least have the experience of what it's going to be like. Heck, you know what? Take a table. And I'm going to slow down for 1 second. No, I'm not. Take a table, put a table with a laptop right next to you, and put the video camera on that so the quality is better. And if the audience looks at you and says, what do you got the laptop there for? It's like, hey, I want to record myself. Man, I'm a public speaker. I want to be in the, I love you. I'm here for you. But guess what? I got a little bit of an ego. I want to be the center of attention. I'm going to record myself. So, but be honest. But here's the thing of it. You have to start someplace. So the point is that if I could go back as a public speaker and do one thing all over again, it would have been from day one to record every single event I was at, good, bad, or ugly.
Exactly.
And what stopped me and what's stopping most of you is even if you know you're good, you don't know you're good. Meaning, even if you know you're good and you know the performance is going to be awesome, there's such a different psychology and mentality to having it recorded and being there forever. In fact, let me digress for one real quick second. I'm going to wrap this up, Mark. As an example, we spent a lot of time prepping for these episodes, okay? We spent an extra 2 hours today prepping for this because we wanted it to look even better because we were having technical problems on the back end.
We never have technical problems. Come on. Come on.
But the whole point is this, is that the psychology of video is that it will be there forever. And what you don't realize is that regardless of what your ego, regardless of how comfortable you are speaking to an audience, you know that they can forget it, even if it's bad. But you know that video never forgets. So what I got to tell you is do what I didn't do, which is get over yourself, get a camera, put it up there, even if it's right on stage with you, record every single thing you do. I don't have my command time today to give you the other 100 reasons behind why that's important. I'm sure if you watch more of these videos, we'll go deeper into that. But for now, to wrap my piece up on public speakers, I want to say, public speakers, get a camera, record everything you do.
Well, and there you have it. So not just public speakers, podcasters, authors, public speakers, you're all in that same boat. The camera can be your friend. As we said, you can always throw it away if you don't like it. You don't have to publish it. You don't have to preserve it forever, but you can if it came out really well and you like it. Yeah. So, Chris, we got to wrap up our section here on our insights here. Any closing thoughts before we take a quick break?
No, I'm good right now.
All right, you're good. You got that out of your system. All right, we're going to be right back with the top 3. It's time for the top 3, Chris. We're going to talk about. Listen, let me clue the audience in here what we're doing. See, I send Chris out there. He is a voracious reader. He reads everything about content marketing, and then he gives me the cliff notes. So we figured, hey, why should I be the only beneficiary of this? We're going to share it with all of you on our weekly wrap episode. So, Chris, what have you been reading that we should know about?
Well, yeah, today's going to be very interesting. So I will admit I've got notes right next to me, folks, because there's some things I really want to read from these blog posts. The first one we're going to talk about is marketing lessons from Taylor Swift. The second one is harnessing the power of video marketing. And the third is what the Dover Police and Maroon 5 can teach you about viral content.
Okay, so you were in a musical state of mind when you were, working your way through this week, huh?
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
So tell me about Taylor Swift. I got to confess, actually, I had the wrong person in my mind. We were talking about Taylor Swift before we started the show, and I was thinking Miley Cyrus. So, okay, my bad. Wrong. Reverse image. Pull that one out. Okay, Taylor Swift. What are we supposed to learn from Taylor Swift?
Yes, we're not talking about the person who twerks. We're talking about the one who won't show.
No, I was picture Taylor Swift twerking. I mean, okay. Now move on.
So we're talking about the one who doesn't want to show her belly button, which I still haven't figured that one out. She's explained it, but I haven't figured it out yet. So there was an article on the INC website, and we're going to have the links to this down in the show notes below, by Cal McAllister. And in the middle of that, she said something very interesting. She was talking about Taylor Swift, and she said, what Taylor Swift is doing isn't magic. It's popular for brands. They want to do what she does. Interact with fans authentically and consistently. And the reason I picked this as one of the top 3 articles I found this week is because just because you're out creating video and doing stuff, that's great. You need to take it to level and interact consistently and authentically. Like, as an example, one of Taylor Swift's fans posted, I guess it was on her Instagram account, that she was going to be at the Grammys. Taylor Swift saw this, responded to the fan, and started texting the fan and saying, where are you at? The fan thought it was a joke. The fan said, fine, I'll text you my seat. All of a sudden, she sees a guy or a girl with an earpiece in come down, write down something, and then like 5 minutes later, Taylor Swift was there with her, hanging out, and got a chance to, or actually, that's right, they went backstage, got to meet him, got to hang out. But, think about it. Taylor Swift probably gets, millions and millions and millions, as The Rock would say. Got to get more of these SEO references in, man. Thank you, Dwayne Johnson, also from our area. But the point is that she probably gets millions and millions of people, whether it's nice or not so nice people doing this. But what she's chosen to do is find people and interact authentically and consistently with her entire fan base through a certain small subset of it. And that's one of the things you have to do as well. Get your videos out there and then start interacting with people on a regular basis.
That's the hard part, is to actually be social on social media. You got to take the time. We've with one of our clients, we talk about this all the time in terms of you got to be social on social media. All right, let's move on. We're going to talk too much here if I get involved here. So what are this next one is harnessing the power of video marketing? Is that what we're talking about here?
Yeah, exactly.
Who's this person?
Yeah, exactly. There was a woman named Lisa, and I'm sorry, Lisa, I'm not going to be able to pronounce your last name right, but I think it's
Ostrikov. It's a good Russian name, Ostrikov.
Wrote on the Globe and Mail, and once again, links will be down below, that 76% of consumers cite video as their preferred method of consuming brand information. 44% said video is the most appealing form of media, with engaging, sharing, authentic, and shareable listed as reasons for trusting video content versus other forms of communication. That paragraph I read should really tell you all you need to know. The short version is video is a very powerful marketing tool because people can see you. They can interact with you. Even if it's not a very personal interaction, they can at least interact because they're feeling your energy. They're seeing they're seeing your facial expressions as you're doing the marketing, and you can influence them much more. So video is a very, very powerful marketing technique. If you haven't already started using it, you need to start doing what is educational. One of the interviews we did brought up one of our expert showcase guests, which their show, I think, if it hasn't gone live yet, it'll be upcoming. They talk about educational marketing versus content marketing. You got to use video. Here are the stats to prove it. Like I said, we'll have this in the show notes if you missed it. Once again, stats to prove it. You got to use video for marketing.
Yeah, listen, picture's worth 1,000 words. Moving picture worth tens of thousands of words, right? You got at least 30 frames a second coming at you here. Yeah, so exactly. A lot of pictures, a lot of communication going on. All right, moving on to the third of the top 3 here. Maroon 5, really, dude?
Well, I love this article. So the Dover Police and Maroon 5. I love this article because Stan from Pushing Social, kind of did a little summary of what happened. And here's the thing: if you haven't seen it yet, there was a Dover, and it kind of falls into the Taylor Swift thing too. If you haven't seen it yet, there's a Dover, Delaware police officer who was quote unquote caught on his dash cam Swift Shake It Off. And Mark, I almost asked you to kind of actually have the song so we could shake it off.
Oh, I thought you wanted to. You want to actually do it?
Well,
no,
neither one of us.
You do not want me to. Believe me, you do not want me to sing.
So what happened was, the short version, if you haven't seen the video, the Dover police officer was caught lip syncing to Taylor Swift's Shake It Off in his patrol car. So you got to go see the video for, yeah, exactly. You got to go see the video for the rest of it. But here's the thing of it. They originally put it out as a candid camera moment. From the article, this wasn't a candid camera moment. The Dover Police Affairs Department had an inspired moment of viral content clarity and staged the performance. They were rewarded with, get this, are you sitting down? Are you ready for this? 20 million video views. Taylor Swift didn't do so bad either, with 15,000 retweets and 26,500 favorites. Here's the point. While some people, and myself included, and I will, in full transparency, when Mark and I first talked about this, I said I was a little upset that they played it off as a candid camera moment and then came clean. If you're skeeved out by the candid camera and then come clean moment, you don't even have to play it off. Don't say anything about it at the beginning. And then when people ask you, be honest and authentic about it. Fact of the matter is this, is that any content that you want to go viral has 3 separate components to it. I don't have my command of time today to touch on all 3. I'm sure if you follow us on these videos, you'll hear them later on. What I want you to take away from is this. When creativity strikes, have that video camera in front of you and just do it. If you're not being nasty to people, if you're being nice to people, and you're doing things that represent them well, the majority of people, 99.999% of people, will be happy with it. Will there be haters? Yeah, but there's always going to be haters. So get over it. Get over yourself. I'm telling you this just as much because this is what I had to go through. And as you know, I'm not want to blow smoke up your ass. I'm going to tell you to get over it. Get over yourself. Realize there are going to be some haters. But when the creativity strikes, have that video camera and do it. And if you do all 3, and my rap for this section, Mark, is going to be, if you do all these 3 things, if you interact authentically and consistently, if you understand that video is a powerful marketing tool, and then you utilize those moments of inspired creativity, you have a better than average chance of getting your content out there and seen by the people, your eventual clients.
That sounds like a wrapping point to go there. You know, there was one dead giveaway, though, which is, you know, police cameras don't face the policemen. They face outside the dash. But anyway.
That's true.
That was kind of the dead giveaway to me. But, all right, so moving on. We're going to wrap this up. We're going to take a real quick break. Bake? I must be hungry. We're going to take a real quick break, and then we'll be back with Video Marketing Mail. It is time for Video Marketing Mail. We answer some questions that you have written in. You know, it can be sometimes questions that came up with our clients, sometimes people who are, you know, reaching out on social media. We invite you to do exactly that. Chris, what was that, you know, email address that people should send their questions to?
Questions@VideoContent.Agency.com.
See, we're clever. We're clever with the names. Questions go to questions at VideoContentAgency.com. So send us your questions. We got 3 that we're going to try to hit real quick here, Chris. So what is question number 1 from one of our, I don't remember if this was a client or doesn't matter. What's the question?
Well, here's the thing of it. So the top 3 questions that we picked for this week, out of those, question number 1 is, what is the best way to get my content visible?
Kind of goes with our theme of visibility.
Exactly. And the answer is to authentically create content that references someone else to get them to see it. Now, that might sound a little bit, you know, it might sound a little bit, you know, icky for some people, but the fact of the matter is this: people love to see their name in print no matter how big or how small they are. And I'm going to give you a quick example. So there's a local, we're out of Philadelphia, and there's a local station, Fox 29. They decided to do a video version of this song that features Bruno Mars called Uptown Funk. Now, I never heard the song. I must admit I had, you know, been up on the song, but it's kind of a cool, funky song. And the guy, and I gotta check, Mark Ronson. Sorry, see, I remember Bruno Mars. Don't remember the guy who actually sang the dang song, because it was Uptown Funk. written by Mark Ronson featuring Bruno Mars. So here's the thing of it: they did this video and they wanted to try and get Bruno to actually retweet it to his million followers. Well, they hadn't at the time it's recorded hadn't been successful in that yet. So what they did was they went to Mark Ronson, and the funny part is that the guy who actually did the video, the artist who did the video. I'm laughing because he has like 1/10 of the followers of Bruno Mars. And the funny part is probably when I'm talking to all you, most of you probably have heard of Bruno Mars, but not necessarily Mark Ronson. So then they went back down, and now they're trying to get Mark to actually see this video and retweet it. Basically, they're playing on what we talked about in the previous segment about Taylor Swift. The short version is this: create your content in your way, your video content in your way. If you can, marry in some people who have a larger following than you and make it true and authentic and applicable, then do it, because that will increase your chance of getting your content visible and going viral.
That sounds like a good visibility plan. So I'm looking at question number 2 here. What if my content gets visible but nobody likes it? A big fear that people have. So what do you say, Chris?
Exactly. Guess what? Some people are going to like it, some people are not, and that's okay. There's haters out there for everything. You got to realize this: there's more than 8 billion people in the world. The chances of them content are equal to the chances of them liking your content, and that's just the way it is. And I won't go into all the specifics, but there's been a lot of things in the news over the last 30 to 60 days where the logical person goes, I can't believe anybody would argue with this, and there's still people bashing people online.
Of course there are people that are going to argue with it, right?
Yeah, it's amazing to see that. So what I want to let you know is this, coming from somebody, and I'm going to slow down just a little bit and talk to you, really try to talk to you heart to heart at this point. Coming from somebody who was scared for the longest time to be hated, who put off doing video for multiple years because he didn't want to be hated by people. Take it from somebody who's been there. You just got to get over yourself, and you got to get over it, because the benefits far, far, far outweigh the negativity. People are going to complain about things, that anything that you do. It could be something simple. It could be the way you walk the dog during the day. It's not going to kill you. Use it to make you stronger. And in other episodes, we're going to go into kind of how to deal with haters and everything. But for today, if nobody likes it, and there are people who hate it, deal with that. And then start tweaking your content. The last thing I want to say on this real quick is, when you have something that you put out that people aren't resonating with, learn from it, move on, and create better and different content, and make your mistakes when nobody's watching, because that's the key. When you're first starting off and you have no audience, it's okay to make a mistake, because you'll learn from that mistake. And then when you get big, you'll make less of them. So once again, there are haters out there. Make your mistakes when nobody's watching. Just get out and do it.
Absolutely, because you're talking to your own audience. They're going to meet you in person if you're a coach or a consultant, and they're going to have to either love you or hate you at that point anyway. So what's the point? So, along that theme, what if you don't like yourself on video, Chris? Somebody asks here. Podcasts. Can you still get it done that way?
Sure, yeah, definitely. You can. This is a case of one of the things we like to call the could you, should you, will you triangle, so to speak. And when it comes to podcast, you're looking at your content and saying, okay, you can just do an audio podcast. Fine, you can do it. Then you go, should you? Well, at that point, I invite you to release fear and step into your greatness and say, I should be doing more. I should be doing video. And then I also invite you into the exploration of how great you really can be by saying, I will. So once again, it's should you? Yeah, you or could you? Yeah, you could just do podcasts. Should you? Nah, you probably probably should, you probably should be doing more, because it's going to get your content out there far and wide. And who are you to deprive people of the gift that you're trying to give them? That's one of the things that Mark and I talk a lot about, is that a lot of it's offline and private, about, depriving the world, because people sometimes have issues with selling themselves, selling their services, pitching their services. And if you think about it, and it's funny, it's also one of the things one of my mentors, Paul Martinelli, the John Maxwell team, talks about, is like, look, who are you to deprive the world of your gift? And by not doing as much as you can to get your message out there, you're depriving the world of your gift. Don't deprive us, man. We want your gift. Give us your gift. We want it. Please give it to us. So yeah. So, if you're one that hates yourself on video, like I did, I used to hate myself on video. I know, me, the center of attention, the attention hog, hated himself on video. Eventually got to get over it and realize you're depriving people of your, you're depriving people, and you don't want to do that.
No, we will not deprive people any further. So that's about a wrap for the wrap, and the wrap for the video marketing mail for the week. I am going to step out and see you all next week. I'm going to leave you with Chris, and we're going to take a quick break, and Chris is going to be back with marketing inspiration.
Oh, thanks, Mark. So this week we talked about getting your content visible and being world famous. Now, for most of you, when you think of getting your content visible, you think of the increased business that it's going to bring you. Well, I invite you to think bigger. I invite you to think in terms of becoming world famous. Now, some of you might have just gotten scared. I know when I first heard that concept, I got scared, as well. So some of you might have just gotten scared by the concept of being world famous. When I think of the word world famous, or words, depending on how you write it, it always reminds me of the movie The Matrix, where I think it was in the second or third one, where the computer program is talking to Keanu Reeves' character Neo, and they're talking about love, and Neo looks at him and says, that's kind of strange, and the computer program, what, you've never heard of a computer talk about love before? And he said, love is just a word. And while love is emotions and everything else, and love is definitely more than just a word, in theory, not in theory, but in fact, what happens is every word that's out there we have given meaning to, and that meaning affects how we interpret that word. So if you got scared when you heard world famous, that means that you're interpreting those two words, which mean absolutely nothing on the surface themselves, to be something that's scary. So I invite you to get over and push through that fear, and do that by defining your world. So the way you get over the fear of being world famous is define your world in smaller than just 7.2 billion people. Right now the whole world's 7.2 going on 7.3 billion people, and for some people that's scary. Other people like the thought of being world famous to that level. So what I invite you to do now is define your world at whatever level is comfortable to you, and then become famous within that world. Now, if you're also questioning, who am I to become world famous even within a smaller circle, I'm going to give you an example here of something that, everybody questions, how can it be world famous, but they did it. And that's the Pike's Place fish market out in Seattle. Literally, it is a fish market. This is not some weird, kind of like pseudonym for anything else, or kind of, kind of play on words or anything. It is a market. And they are world famous. People come from other countries to go to the Pike's Place fish market. Why? Because what they've done is they've created an experience for people when they get there, and they've become world famous. The market in Seattle can become world famous. You can too. So I invite you now to go out, define your world, and become world famous. And until next time, have a great day.
Well, we really hope you enjoyed that episode. So, Chris, what should people do right now?
Yeah, if you're a coach or consultant and you realize that starring on an episode of Expert Showcase is going to help put your business forward, what we want you to do is go to expertshowcase.com, click on the Apply button, and apply to be our next featured expert on the Expert Showcase. And if you're a coach or consultant and you've got a lot of content and you realize after watching this previous video that doing your own show would put your business forward even faster, then what we want you to do is go out to VideoContent.Agency, check out what we have to offer, contact us, let us consult with you, and let's design a program and a package around you and your content. I think that's about it. Did you have anything else? Mark, Dr. Mark, anything?
You know, just do what he said.
Yeah, not what he said.